The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Who will be victorious tonight? The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Butt Kicker starts now.
Well, you've probably watched many Lionheart broadcasts on GSRC, both the IndyCars and the Retro Series. What are we going to do if we put them on the track at the same time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. Lionheart's first multi-class race. You got the iRacing and the Lotus 79s out there. You're going to be ripping apart Charlotte lap after lap in this Lionheart All-Star race presented by Butt Kicker here for this evening. I'm Adam Young. With me in the booth here tonight is Chris Foby. Alongside us is our director, Sean Ambrose. And of course, we're using cameras by the camera guru himself, Dougie Beard. Charlotte, of course, is a place that's steeped in history, but mostly NASCAR history. Not a lot of open wheel history, although there have been some races. So maybe you're not too awfully familiar with it. Let's go and take a look at today's track guide.
Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until a few years ago, most race fans probably didn't know that this track had a road course layout. Thanks to a huge revamp to prepare for NASCAR to race on it, the Roval is now a top-tier facility. Situated in the northeast corner of Charlotte, North Carolina, there's a whopping 6 different road course layouts. They range from just under a mile to a little over 2 miles in length. Like most Rovals, the high-speed banking on the oval portion makes up the majority of the lap length. However, one unique feature that isn't often seen on other Rovals is that this track includes a decent amount of elevation change. Passing is often difficult, and the 2 chicanes on the oval portion are notorious for their unforgiving curbing. Lesser-powered cars find overtakes a bit easier with the slipstream on the banking, but anything with some oomph is going to have to work very hard to get by their rivals. If anything, attrition often rears its ugly head, and simply keeping the car pointed forward and clean will net you a good finish. While the debate rages on among gearheads on whether oval cars should race here, one thing is for sure, it provides some wild action and almost never disappoints the fans in the stands.
And of course, that is Charlotte Motor Speedway. And as you've already guessed, we are racing the Roval out there for today, the updated version of the Roval. And Chris, I think you've turned a few laps around here in a stock car, probably never in an open wheel machine, but still, it's about the same. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Still a fun track either way, Adam. Just over 2.25 miles here on the Roval. 17 turns will be the challenge these drivers face. And of course, with having 2 different cars on the track, lap traffic will be a big issue as well. So the Charlotte Roval is going to be in for a whole lot of action today.
All right. And of course, we want to remind you, if you've been new to Lionheart, hey, Sim Experience, they help these guys out a ton. Of course, you're watching right now the Sim Experience Countdown to Green. Sim Experience provides unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce wheel provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystem, including their GS5 seat, Stage Series, motion systems, and Sim 5 software lists, visit www.simx, as in the letter X, experience.com. And remember to use promo code SimXLion to get 5% off Sim Vibe software. And of course, hey, we've got other things going on here for tonight, like an actual race, I mean, not just the Countdown to Green show. And here's what we're looking at as far as the race. Chris, go ahead and tell us about it.
Well, this is going to be a unique format. It's the all-star race, so top 10 in points from both Lionheart series will be invited from the Dallara IR18 and Lotus 79 series. That's going to be 44 laps, 100 miles roughly, and got some setup differentials between the two cars to even the playing field a little bit. A weight penalty on the IndyCar. They're going to be running a little higher fuel burn, so we're going to be needing a couple pit stops for the IndyCar. Meanwhile, the Lotus 79 be running a little bit lighter, and most likely looking at one stop for the Lotus cars. So it's going to be a very exciting race to see how strategy plays out for this one, Adam.
Yeah, it is. And that's one thing. We've actually gotten some intel on the IndyCar side that it might actually ultimately be a 3-stop race with maybe having to take a very quick stop at the end. It might be cutting it close on fuel. So that's going to be something to watch out for. And of course, Lotus 79, they may only have to take one. And they've done this to be able to try to keep the cars relatively close in comparison as far as on lap times, because the IndyCar also has a pretty significant weight penalty, about 250-pound weight penalty, which is about throwing me in there and probably all the food I ate yesterday. That's probably what it's like throwing it into the IndyCar out there here for tonight. On your screen right now, hey, new to the IndyCar series, I believe he is actually planning on running the full campaign, Aruna Kakapati. He is trying to push it a little bit too hard there through that final chicane. Now, a guy you're going to be very familiar with is Ryan Otis. Ryan Otis, so far, the last I checked, I believe, was actually on the provisional pole so far for the Lotus 79s, and indeed he is. And just a lightning quick lap at 109.892. That's what he's sitting at. And let's see who is, I believe, Connor Harrington right now. He's on the pole for the Indy cars. He is weaving around right now. I think he might be getting the tires warmed up to maybe try to improve his time some. But right now he's on the provisional pole on the IR18 side. We're sitting about 6 minutes left here to go in qualifying. And Chris, I'll ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Do you have any experience with the IR18 or the Lotus 79?
I've turned legitimately probably 5 laps in an IR18, realized that I was terrible, and went back to fiddling around in a street stock and a legend car like I belong.
Well, I'll tell you, be careful what happens, because I didn't have much experience with the Lotus 79. Then I started calling the retro races, and now I'm driving in the series. So it can be addictive watching these things. I'm going to try my hand, and I don't think we've talked about this on air yet. The Lionheart series is actually going to have 3 primary series here this upcoming season. You're going to have your IndyCar series, which we all know. You're going to have the Lotus 79 Retro series, and you're also going to have another IR18 series out there. It's not going to be broadcast, at least as far as I know, but it'll be out there for guys to maybe up and coming to try to get some experience in the IndyCar. So that's going to be exciting for the Lionheart guys here for this year. So, hey, maybe something for you to try if you want to get your hands dirty at the IR18.
Yeah, maybe a good place for someone like me to be mid-pack at best.
I doubt very much that you'd be mid-pack, at least after a few races. Hey, I mentioned Connor Harrington. I thought he might have been warming up his tires to go ahead and try to get a good fast lap in. Well, yeah, he just knocked, I think, about 4/10 or 5/10 off his previous time, as we're seeing him cut the course now just a little bit. I think he put down his fast lap, and that's just good enough for him. But Connor Harrington, he's showing some speed on this Roval here for tonight, holding back the likes of Aruna, which a lot of sim racers know that name, and also holding off the likes so far as Sage Karam, which a lot of real world guys know that name. Sage Karam out there hoping for a big campaign for him this year. Right now on the screen, of course, now is Sage Cameron, the Canana Sim Sport ride. And hey, Sage, if you're watching this later on today, or tonight rather, maybe even tomorrow, congratulations on the new IndyCar ride here for the upcoming IndyCar season. So it's going to be exciting to see you back out there. He is out there. This should be maybe one of his fastest laps. Michael Goodman now getting ready to come across the line. See if he's able to improve any. I think that might have been an outlap for him. Hey, let's one guy I want to take a peek at here real quick, Sean, is Sammy Ryman. Our very own Sammy Ryman is out there. He's got everything set up. He just got done with a big move and now getting back into sim racing here after just a few months off. So he's out there turning laps, and actually pretty competitive laps, sitting 5th here so far in the IR18.
It's a pretty good looking car he has out there too, Adam.
Yeah, I like that. The hashtag never quit machine. So riding around the orange and black representing that cause here today. Seeing a lot of special schemes out there. And when he gets back on the track, I'll point one out, that being Mark Cohn, but he's not out there right now. We'll maybe save that for a little bit later. But Sammy Ryman, I don't think was he able to improve his time? Yeah, he was able to improve his time that last time, but I just wasn't able to improve his positioning. Still sitting in 5th. Now he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. Hey, let's hang with this here just a second. Or actually, we'll go back over to, I believe that is... Okay, here's Sam. Let's take a look at the speed differential. And just as I wanted to do that, the Lotus 79 that he was following pulled off the track. So not able to do that. Sitting at about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock here. And looking over. All right, so we're going to stay with here with him as he gets up on the banking. He's going to come around to that last chicane right before the start-finish line. He's passing the Lotus 79 there. That would be Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman that he is getting past. Oh, man, those IR18s, they really hit those curbs. Scotty Johnson coming down here. Sage Karam now. Looks like this might have been an outlap for him. He is coming across the line with enough time that he should be able to get this one chance and maybe even another lap in if he's able to.
So
looking through, go ahead,
Adam. I was just going to ask, since you probably have a little bit more experience with this than I do, what's it going to be like out there for maybe those quicker IndyCar drivers to try to negotiate around some of these slower Lotuses before the strategy maybe starts to even the playing field a little bit?
Well, I will tell you that's going to be a part of the excitement here today, because I don't know. And I think only the guys out there really kind of have an idea with them being able to practice and everything else maybe around it. So I think that's going to be part of the X factor here for today. It's going to be pretty exciting.
It's definitely when I got sent the concept for this one, I thought it was pretty interesting, especially considering that it's 2 different generations of cars that really kind of come from the same common ancestor, more or less.
Yeah, and that's kind of the ladder that the Lionheart series kind of goes for. It's kind of having, the retro series will step up into the IndyCar series, and of course now we're adding another ladder into that, which will still be pretty interesting. But we are looking now, Ryan Otis, and still up there, actually coming down pit road. That's going to be the interesting part to me, Chris. If we end up with the IndyCars have to make pit stops in traffic, I think that'll be one that maybe look at. Brian Yosek doing something that Brian Yosek does a lot, which is facing the wrong way. Yeah, and I give him that little rib there because I know him, so I'm able to do that. But he's actually usually pretty quick. A little bit further down on the speed charts than I think I'd like to see him, as the checkered flag has come out. And we are just kind of finishing up here with the guys that are on the track, looking at Michael Goodman coming across, not able to improve his time. Finian Ducata here coming across. What's he going to be able to do? He actually is probably going to improve his time a little bit, by about 0.3 of a second. That'll get him. That'll move him up at one spot. Travis Jagerliner, he's coming across. I don't think he was able to improve his time. Anybody behind them? Looking, and nope, I believe that is it. So Connor Harrington just able to set that fastest lap. So my timing and scoring had to catch up on that one, but he already had pole. Not too much of a change there. Although Sage Karam was just able to get relatively close to him. He was only a couple of hundredths of a second off to him when everything was said and done. All right, we're waiting here to be able to show the grid. That should be coming here momentarily, but I think it's going to be safe to show it with the session coming to a close. And all right, so let's go ahead and go to that grid. On the pole here today, the overall pole is going to go to Connor Harrington in the IndyCar. Sage Karam will be starting outside of him. Aruna Kakapati will be starting in third. Brian Carey in fourth in row number 2. Brian Beard and Tyler Graff will be making up row 3. Samuel Ryman and Andrew Kinsella will be making up row 4. Scotty Johnson, Stephen Larkamp will be in row 5, starting 9th and 10th. I'll go ahead and finish out the IndyCars here real quick. Brian Yazik and Michael Goodman will be in row 6. Row 7 is going to go to Mike Rigney, Jason Galvin, and that'll make us move on to the Lotus 79s. Chris?
Fast time for the Lotus 79 was Ryan Otis. He'll be starting 15th on the grid, followed by Alex Saunders. Scott Holmes will be next in line, followed by George Sandman. Justin Wardlow next in line, followed by Mark Cohen and completing the top 20. Then Dean Mole 21st, David Clymer 22nd, Finian Dacuna, Ryan Corniz, Travis Jagerlerner, Paul Jenkins, George Anzaldo, and Lionel Callisto finishing out the field.
All right, so now we get ready for these cars coming to life. Like on many of the new iRacing tracks, they kind of start off in a line. On this one, actually, kind of starts off in a line on a racetrack. They'll all pull away. We'll get a full pace lap out of these guys, and then we are moving on.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see the start on this one with so many unique cars out there. I mean, this is just something I've never really experienced before as a viewer here in the iRacing world. So very excited to see this one kick off.
Well, I think it's safe to say that no one's experienced anything like this in the iRacing world before. We get to do it here together on GSRC as we get ready to come to the green flag as I get behind that Porsche pace car. As I mentioned, it will be a full pace lap here around Charlotte. So we've got a few minutes here, maybe about 2 or so before we get going under green. As they'll be pacing here at about, I believe, 40 to 45 miles an hour will be the pace speed here today. And then we will get going for 44 laps around Charlotte. So we should finish this thing in under an hour here for today. At least I'd hope so, as these guys will be going pretty quick once they're up and going.
Yeah, these Indy cars handle this track fairly quick. Just over 1 minute 4 seconds was quick time. So very fast laps will be turning around the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, and these guys here are some of the best out there. And of course, before we get going on that, we do want to thank the race sponsor here for tonight, and that is, of course, Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add instant immersion to any game. Unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker products move actual mass, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of the products at thebuttkicker.com and use use the promo code LION25 to get 25% off your order. And I got to tell you, a little bit of a personal plug here. I finally actually have 2 butt kickers. I got them. I'll admit I didn't get them from Butt Kicker. I got them as part of a deal with my new rig, but they're brand new, and I'm looking forward to hooking them up so much, just so I can tell people more about how good of Butt Kicker products are. So looking forward to that. And of course, while we're on the pace lap, we'll tell you that it's going to be mere weeks, at least it feels like mere weeks before the Lotus 79 and the IndyCar seasons all kick off. If you're a big fan of Lionheart, this is the first race of the year, but the actual seasons will be starting off here before you know it, and then we can get back to racing as we normally do it. But here today, we've got the uniqueness of a multi-class race right now at Charlotte, a open wheel race with the Lotus 79s and the IndyCars. The IndyCars get ready to hit the last chicane. The Porsche's off the racetrack. These guys coming to the green flag. Connor Harrington is away. Good start from them as they already get single file to try to get through the chicane. Don't see any major problems with anybody at least getting to the line as the Lotus 79s coming to the start-finish line now as they get away under anger. A little bit more side-by-side back there is looking at really the back of the pack got a little bit crazy as far as those Lotus 79s. Oh, and it actually looks like an IndyCar is off. He was sitting sideways on the track. I think that was Jason Galvin. And there's going to collect a bunch of Lotus 79s, including Dustin Wardlow. We're going to have to come back up to that here in just a few minutes, as that was significant. But right now, Connor Harrington still up in front of the IndyCars. He's got, looks like Sage Karam right behind him, followed by Aruna Kakapati and then Brian Carey. They were able to get away from all that, being up in front of it. And it's behind them that things get a little bit more separated out there on the field. They are already rounding NASCAR turns 3 and 4, coming into turn 4, the last chicane before the start finish line. Sage Karam is on the attack, Chris.
Yeah, Karam breathing right down Harrington's neck as they head through the infield section.
Yeah, and that's going to be going hard and fast here for today. Sage Karam will be really, I think he's just kind of feel out Connor Harrington here at this point, trying to use a little bit of that draft. Interested to see, this could be my first real good look here at how the draft is going to work on the back straightaway. And not really pulling up on him here too much. I'm wondering with the short tanks if maybe he's trying to save just a touch of fuel here. Connor Harrington did not have a good chicane there. Let's see if he's able to. Sage Karam might have a run on him here. He's going to take a look on the high side. They're going to bump wheels just a touch. Everybody gets, Sage Karam, he's going to have a slowdown from that one. That is going to hurt here this time. He sips back in behind Connor Harrington, has to give up the lead.
Not only that, but the car took a pretty big whoop-de-doo over that turtle there, and not sure how that may affect the ride and handling on that car.
And we're going to have to watch out because already Sage Karam under attack here from Aruna. You know, that is one thing on these IndyCars, the ground effects. You can damage those pretty easily, so we'll see if that affects particularly his straight line speed. As, of course, you do have plenty of NASCAR track that these guys have to negotiate here on the banked oval to try to get around. But right now, it seems like Aruna is still sticking behind him. Close enough here to make an attack right now. Hey, we haven't checked in on it yet. Let's go ahead and go to Ryan Otis and see how those Lotus 79s are doing. Chris, how do things look over there?
Well, right now it looks like a somewhat solid lead for Ryan Otis as far as the Lotus 79s go, about a half second over Alex Saunders the last time they crossed the line. So he's got a pretty healthy lead going right now as he's just holding position here as we work our way through the opening portion of this race.
And, of course, it will be a 44-lap affair here tonight. And Leader's already working lap 4. Just for speed comparison's sake, by the time Ryan Otis braked into the last chicane there before the start-finish line, he was going about 145 miles per hour. We'll check in here in a minute next time we go look at the IndyCars and see what they're doing in there. But remember that number for me, 145 miles per hour, which is still pretty quick in that Lotus 79. I feel like you're probably going in there. We'll go back to Connor Harrington, as now the top 3 in the IndyCars have spread out just a touch more. In fact, this will be a great time to get that speed comparison here as Connor Harrington gets back up on the bank and he's screaming around. Already up to 170 miles an hour, 172. So even with that 250-pound penalty there, the speed difference is still almost 30 miles per hour. But even then, only a couple of seconds on track is the difference between the Lotus 79s. What I was hearing, Chris, is that those Lotus 79s, as Sage Karam sets the fastest lap of the race here so far, those Lotus 79s actually able to hang with the IndyCars in the infield portion of the track.
I could definitely see that. The more ground effect style cars do a pretty solid job handling more slow speed corners. And I could definitely see that being the Achilles heel, comparatively speaking, with the IR18.
All right, so now that we have a moment here, things have calmed down a little bit. Let's go ahead and go back to the start of this race. Maybe we could see what happened to Jason Galvin. I believe Paul Jenkins was involved in the beginning incident here as we load up the GSRC replay machine. And this is going back to the very start of the race, going into turn 1. Watching Jason Galvin as they'll get single file here going through the chicane, and then they'll start to progress toward turn 1. And it's somewhere in that the turn 1, and it goes into the sweeping turn 2 area where something happened here, I believe, to Jason Galvin. Yeah. Okay, so he hit a little bump there, and it bounced and spent the tires, and then he ended up in a very precarious position. That's blind right there. And I don't think any of those Lotus 79s actually saw him sitting there. Look at the blimp view of it. Just hits the wall. Did not have enough time, I think, to exit out before he got just nailed. That was Wardlow that hit him. I see Dean Mull involved in that. That's a lot of strong 79s out of that thing. Right on board now with Dustin Wardlow. Getting this idea there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and switch to on board here. And Chris, I think this is where you'll see just how blind it was.
Yeah, a portion of the track you really can't see what's going on up above that hill. And by the time he's able to realize there's a car there, pretty much he's got no time to react.
You know, and the really... All right, Connor Harrington coming back to falling back into the clutches now of Sage Karam. And he is all over him, as it looks like they're also starting to catch some of the Lotus 79s here now as well.
Yeah, this will be a very interesting challenge for Harrington, as he's got to slow up for the Lotus in front of him. Karam's going to pull alongside. And they head up onto the banking. Karam's going to have a run to the inside, but Harrington shuts the door as they come through the oval track turn. Now they're going to get headed down that back straightaway if Karam has a chance, but no, looks like he's going to give him some room to breathe. Does not make the attempt through the chicane, and looks like Harrington's going to be safe for now.
And actually loses a lot of time. He's going to have to get all that back on Connor Harrington, and now, you know, that's Finian Takana now that they're passing. Now that, of course, they're getting into the top tier already of those Lotus 79s. So let's go back up to Sandman and Holmes. Sandman out there racing in the Lotus 79 along with Scott Holmes, and they are currently running for, I believe that's 3rd and 4th in class. So trying to go for the podium spot there. Scott Holmes currently holding that.
Yeah, looks like as of right now, just a small handful of those Lotus cars still on the lead lap. Which again is going to be another.
With Sandman actually losing the back end just a touch, he slides through there, through the bus stop, and And now he's going to have to go ahead and gain all that ground. He just grabbed back on Scott Holmes. That actually lost a lot. He's going to have to go ahead and got a work cut out for him. Hey, here in Kerry and Kozik are in a little bit of a battle here. This should be for, I believe, 5th. Is Stella not too far behind them. Ryan Carey going to try to go to the outside. Is carrying a head full of steam into there. Andrew Kinsella in that green and silver machine will take the spot as well.
It looks like Carey took it pretty easy heading into the chicane. Maybe wasn't quite sure where the car was to his outside. Wanted to make sure he didn't blow the corner.
I would say that's a pretty safe bet. Is Yazik up 6 positions from the start of this thing, showing that he's got some speed as he's riding that Loud Pedal Motorsports thumbs up machine, and now going up to the lead. Sage Karam already back to Connor Harrington. It seems like if Sage Karam can just get some clean track and clean air, he has a real good shot here at Connor Harrington. Connor Harrington's going to try to protect the inside. He's going to come back out to the outside, hit the bus stop, go through there. They both look clean this time. Actually, Sage Karam gets a little bit of a better exit. He's going to be right underneath the rear wing as they head through NASCAR 3 and 4. You might have a shot at him here before they get to the final chicane. Yeah, make him side by side to hit the curbs hard. Has to back out before he gets the wall, but allows him to do the over-under. They head toward turn 1. Sage Karam. Oh, they bump again. Connor Harrington and Sage Karam locking wheels here at Charlotte. And Sage Karam clears them. Fantastic racing between those two. We'll stick with this here for a moment and see if Connor Harrington able to come back on Sage Karam. And of course, Aruna right there, ready to take advantage should anything happen. So far, no luck there, but Connor Harrington is not letting Sage Karam go here right now, Chris.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can say about Sage Karam, he is a hard-nosed driver and definitely showed it there. Gave Harrington no quarter as far as that battle went, and ended up taking the lead.
Yeah, but Connor Harrington isn't giving him any quarter himself. In that draft, hanging tight, and they got more traffic in front of them, and that traffic allowed him to take the lead back a little while ago. And those Indy cars are hitting those curbs just hard. I'm going to have to wonder, Chris, if that's going to start to really affect all of them by the end of the races. Now they're right back up behind George Sandman. Sandman 4th in class right now in the Lotus 79s, and you get the idea there that these guys just able to blow past him. So Sandman has to put some wheels off in the grass to avoid any kind of contact. But so far, at least Harrington and Karam are around him clean. Aruna kind of getting stuck behind him here just momentarily.
So I got to ask, if we have 2 drivers that are giving no quarter, does that mean they're giving no $50 total?
You know, if Soup was here right now, he would have been very proud of that joke. Oh, Sage Karam loses front end grip, under braking, slides it. Connor Harrington's going to take the lead back, at least for a moment. He's going to cut down in front of Sage Karam. Sage Karam, though, after that incident, he has a good run. He's got the power. He's going to take the lead right back and make a little bit of contact. Actually, I think Connor Harrington might have ghosted through him. Aruna now on the attack.
Yeah, that was as close as those 2 cars could have gotten without completely taking each other out. Luckily, they're both able to continue on, but Harrington definitely lost some ground.
Yeah, so now these guys have to negotiate the Lotus 79. And Scott Holmes actually got close between him and Harrington. Harrington had to smoke the brakes just a touch and actually trying to get the power down. Rear end gets a little wiggly on him. That is going to cost him time to Sage Karam. Sage Karam now starting to step away a little bit.
Yeah, Scott Holmes maybe not making it as easy as he could have for those leaders in the IR18. And definitely giving Connor Harrington fits, and that may be the point of the race where Harrington kicks himself a little bit.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at 7th position here with the Lotus 79s. And I believe that's going to be George and Zaldo involved in this battle. This is going to be Ryan Florence, Travis Jagerliner behind them. So a good 3-wide battle out there. And actually, Hey, real quick, Sean, I'm sorry. I know we just went to this, but we need to go back up to the lead on Sage Karam. He just went a little bit wide and slapped the wall. You see if you see any damage on your end. I don't see anything. It was going through turn 1. Okay, so going to come through turn 1 here. He's going to go a little hot and just barely scrape that wall. I don't know if he has any suspension damage. I don't think he hit it that hard enough, but it's definitely affecting him right now as he's going through the infield portion of the track. Lots of things happening here all of a sudden with Connor Harrington making his first pit stop, and you have to imagine that Sage Karam might be coming down here this time by and to see if iRacing gives him any damage, even though it seems like the front wing is kind of maybe trying to repair itself. He's going to skip around pit road this time. Is Aruna, though, gaining on him. That Lotus 79 they just passed, that's Alex Saunders sitting in second in class right now with the Lotus 79s. They got a little while to go here before they catch Ryan Otis, maybe not this lap. All right, so let's go back to that battle we were watching a minute ago here, Chris. And now we've got Ryan Corns attacking league organizer George Anzaldo.
Yeah, and he is definitely right there in the mix, and a couple other drivers around them as well, making things even more fun.
Jagerliner now getting that momentum, carrying it around to the outside. Now, a big mess of Lotus 79s going through the chicane. Slowest portion of the racetrack right there, I believe, before he hit the start-finish line. And they are in a mess here for 13th overall. This is, I believe, 6th and 7th on the track. Hey, Sage Karam and Aruna making their pit stops right now, and Aruna was right underneath the rear wing of Sage Karam before they came down. So they're coming down 1-2. First stops here for the leaders. Connor Harrington already came around. Go see if I can find out where he's at right now. He's hitting the bus stop on the backstretch, and he is under attack from Andrew Kinsella. So he's got to be fighting those off. He's been waiting to see where he comes out in relation to your two leaders.
Yeah, we talked about it in the pre-race show, Adam. These pit strategy plays are going to be what really makes the excitement in this race.
Well, we'll see if it works out. Connor Harrington now coming through turn 1. And I believe he is going to come out in a second. Where is Sage Karam? Sage Karam is just now pulling away.
Karam was sat in his
pit. A little bit of rear wing damage. He got that fixed, but that's going to set him back right now, I believe, in 5th position.
Yeah, Karam sat there for quite a while. I guess he had some rear wing damage as well. So, unfortunately, that damage slowed down his pit stop quite a bit.
All right, so just because I know this is the All-Star race, we should talk about some of the guys that got involved in that first lap accident, no longer on the racetrack. Some big names in that list: Tyler Graff, Mark Cohn. Mark Cohn was given racing that Lotus 79 for the last time here for tonight after a tremendous retro season last year. Lionel Little Train Callisto is out of this thing, so. The lone riding shotgun injury out there today. Samuel Ryman is out. Wardlow, Jenkins, Larkamp, all those guys out of this thing here very early on. As right now we're working lap 15 of a 44-lap race. Look at Travis Jagerliner. We were just following him. Oh, it looks like he might have had contact going into the bus stop.
Yeah, that car definitely does not look happy right now.
Yeah, it looked like that was Finian. Just a little bit of car contact here, but still, though, he's going to lose a lot of time over this. He has a good run. Going to the outside, like I said, I believe that was Finian Ducana. And just a little bit of contact sends Jagerliner toward the inside, but he stops it before he hits the tires, able to get going right away once again. And, I will say this, Chris, after that first lap incident, it's been a relatively clean race. I mean, just a few minor scrapes here and there.
Yeah, most of what we've seen has been kind of self-inflicted incidences among actually some of our leaders. So for the most part, yeah, very clean race, especially with two cars running drastically different speeds out there.
All right, so looking right now, here's Aruna. who's trying to get around. It looks like Scott Holmes in front of him. Indeed it is. Oh, they come together. Scott Holmes gets hip checked. He saves it. Somehow Scott Holmes kept it out of the tires right there. Aruna still trying to get control. Oh, Scott Holmes finally loops it as Connor Harrington's going to go to the outside of Aruna.
Yeah, that was quite a dicey moment there. Those drivers getting ready to probably exchange pleasantries after this one's over. That was a very physical move, and unfortunately neither of them came off better for it.
Yeah, and Scott Holmes thought he had it saved, and I think he went to go to put the power down and loop back around on him. But that gives Connor Harrington the lead of this race, at least for the moment. Aruna still hanging around. And by the way, I mean, we were talking about Sage Karam. Sage Karam has moved back into third position, but he is 14 seconds behind the leader right now.
Yeah, getting that damage repaired definitely set him back quite a bit. Going to take a look here at Ryan Otis. He's the current leader for the Lotus 79 class. One of just two of the Lotuses that are still on the overall lead lap. He's got a pretty healthy advantage right now. About 6 seconds over Alex Saunders behind him. So a very, very healthy lead for Ryan Otis.
All right, let's go up to Jägerliner here and George Inzaldo. And Jägerliner now making that move, trying to keep George behind him. It's one thing I'm noticing out of the Lotus 79s is that they're picking up some pretty significant front wing damage. And seeing Finian Ducana on pit road, I'm going to see if I can figure out what happened to him here real quick. Okay, so it was right that same lap after that contact. I think he just decided to go ahead and park it. I don't see anything major yet. So, yeah, I think he just decided to go ahead and park it for the night. Is another casualty out there. Sage Karam, I believe, is taking a tow. Hey, he just parked it. He just parked it. Nothing to write home about there with Sage Karam. So that is going to be it for him as far as any kind of contention. Looking at David Clymer. He's going to be Lotus 79s now, starting to make some moves. David Clymer was one of the guys that was showing a lot of speed there toward the end of the last retro season. He kind of got caught up, I believe, a little bit in that first lap incident there. Ended up a little bit better than some of the other guys, but still running 2 laps down to the overall here and a lap down to the leaders in class right now. Now, one guy, too, Scott Holmes a little while ago, we don't need to go to it. He had another run-in with another IndyCar, and that was Michael Goodman, and he is all tore up because of it, still out there running. But we're starting to see a little bit of that multi-class again, where some of the slower cars and faster cars having a little trouble negotiating each other. All right, we'll go to Brian Yazik and Andrew Kinsella. Take a look at their battle. These two have been pretty much going at it here for the majority of the race here. At least once we got going after about 5 or 10 laps, they've really been pushing it there, Chris.
Yeah, Kinsella sizing him up as they head down the back straight. Doesn't look like he's quite close enough to make a move yet. Could make a liar out of me here very shortly, though.
Oh, that's one thing Yazik's good at. It's making a liar out of us sometimes.
I mean, I don't always need Brian's help, but sometimes it's nice to know he's got my back.
All right, so still going to follow this one here. This is, right now, it looks to be the battle on the racetrack between these two, the closest. I am keeping a very close eye on the leaders in the IndyCars here. Hey, also, before we get too far into it, let's give some love to the Lotus 79s here. Ryan Otis still setting a lot of pace as well, and pretty much just riding this thing out. He's setting a good pace. I believe, if I'm looking at the timing and scoring right here, I think he has about 6 seconds on Alex Saunders. So actually about 6.5 now, I believe. So he's just doing what he does a lot on road courses in the Lotus 79s. He's just controlling the pace. He doesn't look like he's pushing it. It looks very comfortable out there. He's just turning laps, and they just happen to also be very quick laps. Since we haven't talked about him at all either, let's go over to Alex Saunders. I always liked Alex Saunders' purple and black machine, just because it's got that kind of hot rod purple look, but it looks even better now since I think he added the spec map into it and has kind of the matte purple and the matte black, and that just looks fantastic.
Yeah, that car's got one of those looks that very well could have been on a Formula One car of that era. I mean, it's just a really cool, clean livery on that car.
Okay, so let's go back to that battle between Kinsella and Yazik. And they're trying to negotiate now some of the Lotus 79s. They're going to have George Sandman and David Clymer that they're going to have to get around. Let's see what that does to that battle as Kinsella tried to use Sandman's draft for as long as he possibly could. Jumps out there. Clymer just says, I'm getting out of the way. I don't want any part of this. I've seen what happens when I get involved in things. I don't want any of that. So looks like ultimately they'll be about the same distance as they were before they got involved with the Lotus 79s there. So Andrew Kinsella still sitting in 4th, Yazik in 5th.
It's really interesting to see these two different types of cars on track. For one reason, you never really put into perspective the difference in size between these cars. The IR-18, a significantly longer vehicle than the Lotus 79. And those longer cars actually almost able to bully the Lotus 79 around the track a little bit, as we've seen here today as well.
Yeah, they've definitely been mixing it up out there, sometimes for better or for worse. All right, so, is that, Kinsella, I don't know how he kept it off the wall, but he did. Yeah, granted, he'd lose his position to Yazik, but that thing was sitting 90 degrees to the track. We're going to go ahead and go take a look at the GSRC replay machine. Look at the wheel work here from Kinsella. The back end's going to try stepping out of him pretty much on corner entry. He gets it straightened up, and then it tries snapping on him again. How he saved that thing and kept it off anything concrete is beyond me. And then you know what he does as we go back to live? He goes right back and grabs that position right back from Brian Yazik.
Yeah, he definitely had a pucker moment there for a second and recovered from it beautifully. I mean, that was almost a work of art the way he came back from it.
Yeah, Alex Saunders has made his way down pit road, already back out on the racetrack. Just looking at the rest of the field here. And actually hearing maybe something happened to Alex Saunders and maybe not on the racetrack anymore. Let's see if I can figure out what happened there. And yeah, he just parked it himself too. So that will give Ryan Otis, pretty much a commanding lead now. I believe it's over 28 seconds now over top of George Sandman. So he is in firm control of the Lotus 79 race now. Andrew Kinsella is around in the final chicane. Oh, Brian Yazik bumps him a little bit, trying to avoid getting the off track. Once again, under braking as we'll pull up the replay. Oh, he was trying to avoid, is that George Insaldo? It was. It's right on board now with Andrew Kinsella. And yeah, I think his closing rate on George Insaldo was a little bit more than what he thought it was. Locked up the rears and he slid, and Yazik just gives him a little punch to boot as they resume their battle on the racetrack. Right along here with Brian Yazik, Chris.
Yeah, and you can see when Kinsella maybe went off the track through that Toyota signage there. Maybe Brian thought he was in the all clear, but unfortunately, Kinsella came back across the track and was the victim of a little love tap from Brian.
All right, so now they'll resume out there, and this time around, to get around George Anzaldo, Ryan Otis making his way down pit road. This is on his lap 24, coming to 25. So looking back on the notes that we got here at the start of the race, this is right at the beginning of their pit window, and that would get him to be his only stop of the race, as he is back now out on track. And that is George Anzaldo that is in front of him. George Anzaldo, I mean, Ryan Otis, I believe, had enough of a lead that he was able to come down pit road and get back out and retain the lead the entire time.
Yeah, looks like he's still got at least a couple seconds on Sandman.
So there you go. That's with the stop and without the stop. 10 seconds difference. Ryan Otis, of course, on the slow end of that because he came down pit road, but it was still that much quicker between the two of those guys. So all Ryan Otis just has to do at this point is just finish the race clean. Hearing Aruna is in. Ooh, he's got some pretty significant front wing damage. Yeah, actually, he was going through turn 2, and the thing wobbled on him, and he slapped it into the wall. So he might have actually had some suspension damage there. So his race may be done. So that's going to give Connor Harrington, I believe, now the lead in the Indy cars, and that I think is going to be a 13-second advantage. Actually, it looks like maybe a 15-second advantage if I'm reading that now. So we need to see if something happened to Michael Goodman or if timing and scoring is still just catching up with everything. And we'll give it a moment here. Timing and scoring still trying to catch up, but Michael Goodman will be moving into second with Andrew Kinsella in fourth. Oh, actually, no, there was a pit stop there. Goodman did come down. So it is Harrington, Kinsella, Yazik. So there we go. All right. So timing and scoring will do that sometimes, especially at a racetrack where the guy that has to tow actually gets moved in front of the start-finish line. So that's what happened with Aruna there. And sometimes you'll even see that on real-world broadcasts. Hey, George Sandman now trying to get around Scott Holmes. And Scott Holmes in that beat-up machine, pretty sure he's not going to be able to hold him off, but he's at least holding his own right now through NASCAR 3 and 4. As Scott Holmes said, I'm coming down pit road.
Well, Adam, glad I have you on this broadcast to make sense of all this craziness that we've seen here in the last few laps. Weirdly enough, it really hasn't been much between the drivers, but more the drivers kind of beating themselves here today.
Yeah, so a lot of it, I think, is a little bit of impatience, and maybe not a use of multi-class racing. It's a little bit of a different animal, but it's one of those things that once you do it, you kind of get the monkey off your back, and it becomes a lot easier after that. And I think that's what you're seeing is a lot of these guys still just getting that monkey off their back when it relates to multi-class racing. Look at Ryan Corns now. He's coming down pit road. I think he was running fourth out of the Lotus 79s.
Yeah, Cord's one of those drivers who's had, comparative to some, a pretty quiet day.
I think it's now turning into one of those ones where it's just going to be a quiet day all around as these guys, now the leaders working lap 29. I'll say this, the Ryan Otis is only a lap off the overall lead here at this point. So that's pretty good for those Lotus 79s out there. And I'll tell you, Aruna Kankapati has returned to the racetrack, but he's going to be a lap down running in 6th position. So it was costly with the tow and having to get that wing repaired once he was in. So that will drop him out of contention for the win. But hey, still get some bragging rights and try to pick up some positions.
Yeah,
Brian
must have been
Brian Yazek coming down pit road. Now, here's one I'm going to be interested in. Will he get his wing replaced? Because he really started to fall off Andrew Kinsella after he had a little bit of that wing damage. It does. It snaps back into place there. So Brian Yazek coming back out there with a brand new front wing. Nice and shiny. Sure he'll like to see that. Maybe try to get some of that front end grip back. So that's Connor Harrington right behind him. Connor Harrington in the lead. So Yazek here can do his best not to go a lap down, but Connor Harrington will be having to make his stop here before too long.
Yeah, Harrington has had just a very strong day. Probably happy to see Sage Karam park it after Karam gave him fits throughout the early running in the event. But nonetheless, about 30 laps in the books, and he's running out front and getting ready to put some of the top competition down a lap.
And of course, he'll give that up, though. Like, once he comes down pit road, though, we'll have to see when that is. After, of course, Yazek making his stop, probably deciding it was better, but he should be able to, I believe, go to the end here for me. And Aruna is back on pit road, I'm hearing. I don't see any damage on his car this time. Oh, no, he actually did have another accident out there, so he... looking at it, yeah, caught the wall and ended up, I think he just decided to go ahead and stop it after that before he becomes a danger out there. Just sometimes it's just not your day. And I think that's kind of how Aruna is feeling at the moment. All right, so on your screen, Connor Harrington still negotiating some of that traffic. That's Ryan Corns now that he is getting by. He's going to have a long way to go before he catches up to Ryan Otis, who is the next car on the racetrack in that Lotus 79. Let's go and ride along here with Ryan Otis, Chris.
Yeah, Ryan Otis, one of those drivers having a great day. A very healthy lead as far as the competition goes in the Lotus 79. And has done a tremendous job keeping his nose clean out there by himself, which is something a lot of these guys can't say today.
And that actually gives you an idea right there. You mentioned clean. Ryan Otis may have the only intact front wing out of all the Lotus 79s. And what I mean by that is that, there's nobody out there that really has a lot of damage on their nose that's actually going to be affecting them in the Lotus 79s. But I don't even think it has a scratch. And that's tough to do because the front wing on the Lotus 79 is susceptible to just about any type of curb that's out there. So that just goes to show just how smooth the likes of Ryan Otis is in this car, that he's able to do that and have a very spotless machine. Is I think he's listening to me or something, because you got that rear tire too close to the wall for comfort there.
Well, one thing I've seen over the years in both real world racing as well as here on iRacing is those drivers that can kind of take it to another level will push their car to the absolute limit and won't even notice that they're doing it. So he may have gotten that wheel dangerously close to hitting the wall there, but as far as he's concerned, it's probably just another lap. Some of these drivers that have this supernatural ability that you see to just put the car where it belongs and make it look like it's no effort at all.
Yeah, and on your screen right now is another one of those guys that just has that kind of ability, that being George Sandman. And I remember the first time I raced against George Sandman. He probably doesn't even remember, because I think it's been probably 5 or 6 years ago. But it was in an endurance event, and I think he lapped me about 5 or 6 times. And that's where I realized that's where he got his nickname, because as the Sandman goes by, it's like you're just back there enough that you just want to go to sleep. So because he's just kicking your pants off this. So he's doing his thing out there here for today. I think he kind of got slowed up a little bit by the lap 1 chaos, but so not on course, to be able to match Ryan Otis, but he's going to have a good, solid second place out there. We haven't checked in with our leaders. And actually, being 10 laps to go here, this might be a good time to try to work through at least the top 5 in each class here real quick if we can, Sean. So let's go ahead and take Connor Harrington. Connor Harrington, of course, started on the pole as he goes around your leader, Ryan Otis, your Lotus 79 leader, Ryan Otis, that is. And he's pretty much just been in command for the most part. He's had some challenges from both Sage Karam and Aruna Katkapaki. But also hearing, just since it's relevant, Aruna did have some hardware issues. So that's why he decided to go ahead and call it a day out there. All right, next up in class, though, a guy that's actually, I believe this might be the biggest mover out there. I could be wrong. We'll see. But that's going to be Michael Goodman. He started this thing in 12th position and now has worked his way up to 2nd. So, Michael Goodman, great on him. Of course, he might be a little bit of pit stops mixed in with coming home right now in 3rd with about 9 to go. And out there just running great laps. Had that battle with Brian Yazik earlier on. That kind of calmed down a little bit. And of course, always got to be a big shout out to Kinsella's. He works a lot on these Lotus 79 and IndyCar fixed setups. Now here's on your screen Yazik. You hear him occasionally on GSRC, running in 4th right now. Started this thing in 11th position. And a little bit of a bump earlier with the spinning Andrew Kinsella, but able to recover and still running in the top 5 in class. And 5th in class goes to Scotty Johnson. I think maybe we've mentioned Scotty Johnson once here for today, and I think that's how he likes it. Good quiet day for the Skidmark Motorsports driver, up a handful of spots from 9th position. Go ahead and work us through the top 5 in the Lotus 79s, Chris.
Well, right now, Ryan Otis continues to set the pace. As we've mentioned before, Ryan has just been absolutely flawless out there, keeping his nose clean and keeping the wing on it, which you mentioned is a challenge in these cars. A very healthy lead and doing a great job so far, top of his class. Then George Sandman next in line. Another driver, it's smooth as butter out there. Again, a fairly quiet day, and one of the few drivers out there that looks like he's had not really any issues as we watch him hop a curb. But nonetheless, a very good day for Sandman. Then Scott Holmes, he's had a very interesting day, getting mixed up with the leaders at one point, going off the track, back on the track, through the grass. But nonetheless, he's hanging on to 3rd spot for his division out there and looking pretty good today. Then Ryan Corns, another driver that has really had a fairly simple day. Hasn't gotten into too much trouble out there. Nonetheless, he does have a little bit of ground to make up if he wants to catch up to the guys running ahead of him. But nonetheless, a pretty solid lap for Corns. And David Clymer, of course, sitting on pit road. He was 5th in class. Looks like his day may have been taking a turn. And George Anzaldo will have the position here momentarily. As you can see, some damage on his wing as well. He was in the thick of the battle there for the middle part of the race. And has definitely made up some ground and probably happy to be running on his own a little bit here right now.
Yeah, and that was a shame for David Clymer. I was watching that as it happened to him, and he just kind of lost grip in the middle of the corner, ended up nosing it into the wall. So he probably hurt the front suspension on that Lotus 79 pretty good. So unfortunate for David Clymer, but hey, George Zaldo, league organizer, gets another spot out of the deal. So that's going to wrap up our slightly quick recap right there. And Connor Harrington is on the overall pole. Yeah, he was on the overall pole. Now he's the first one down pit road here. See what he's able to do. Lightning quick pit stops. I wouldn't be surprised here at this stage of the race, maybe if he just takes just enough fuel here to try to get to the end, as that car was running pretty good when he brought it down pit road. And coming to a stop in his box. Of course, he hits his marks. A lot of these guys using this as practice here today to get ready for the season, which will start in March for these guys as the Lotus 79s and IndyCars will rise to anger for the first time in 2020 with, of course, today, the All-Star race presented by Butt Kicker. That's what you've been watching here for the last little bit. Looking at Michael Goodman now coming through turn 2 on your screen now. Is back to Connor Harrington, who's out of his pit stop and coming back onto the banking.
Yeah, one thing we didn't really mention too much, but going into the season, it's good to have a race like this to kind of keep your skills fresh, so to speak, in competition. Obviously, with iRacing, we have the benefit of being able to hop into races all the time, but it does always help to get some reps in and keep your skills fresh, so to speak. The more time you're in the car, the less time you have to get some of that rust built up, so to speak, and lose your touch.
Yeah, which, by the way, if you're wondering, the IndyCar Series starts on March 11th. Will be when the IndyCars kick off. Can't remember, and I'll be honest. I'll look it up, and we'll let you know before the end of the broadcast. The Lotus 79s are either the week before or the week after that. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. Oh, it's same week. Okay, so I'm hearing it's the same week. All right. That's when I was looking at the schedule just the other day. But yeah, what do I know? I don't know. I'm just racing in the Lotus 79 again this year, so I'll be in the back somewhere, back half of the field. You'll see me there on the scoring, timing and scoring. You won't see me on the broadcast too much, unless it's Michigan. That's a fantastic race at Michigan that we had there for that Ride Shotgun Motorsports team. All right, back to actual racing. Scotty Johnson going slow here. Let's see what happened here. Oh, it looks like Scotty Johnson actually had just gotten past Ryan Otis, who's on your screen now, and actually had to go straight through the bus stop. So took the slowdown there and now back on track. I think it was just a misjudging of the braking zone. Go back and take a look at that here on the GSRC replay machine. Look at it here from above, and you kind of get the idea of the closing rate that he had there with Ryan Otis. Zooming on around him, and then I think he just got too focused there. It's getting toward the end of the race. Maybe lost focus for just a second, blew the braking point to go through the bus stop. But thankfully, that's not a race ender for him. He still retains 5th position, actually solidly in 5th position right now. With Brian Carey about a quarter of the track behind him. Now
that's probably another quirk of that multi-class racing that we have here today that a lot of these drivers aren't used to, is sometimes you can base your braking points off of the closing rate to cars that you're passing. And when you're that much faster than the car in front of you, can kind of throw off your judgment a little bit.
You bring up an excellent point there with target fixation is what I used to always like to call that. And that definitely happens out there. As Ryan Otis now comes to the line for 3 to go for him. Connor Harrington working the 42nd lap for the IndyCars. Ryan Otis working, I believe that's going to be his lap 40 now that he's on.
You make that sound a lot smarter than I could. Target fixation to you is probably me ending up in the wall because I'm not good at fixating on my targets.
Well, the guys in my rifle competition might tell you the same thing about me, but it's a little different world. Connor Harrington now.
In my rifle competition, they let me be the guy that holds the whistle.
Ah. Okay. Noted. Connor Harrington, once again, slowest point of the racetrack, hits the start-finish line. He's got now 2 to go out there. And a very solid win as long as he can keep it together here for the final couple of laps. Just going back and looking at his lap times, just incredibly consistent lap times overall today from Connor Harrington. The only times it seemed like they weren't consistent was when he was having to battle Sage Karam earlier on, and then Aruna Katapaki after that. So just a very good race for Connor Harrington. Kept his cool and composure the entire time, and now as long as he can keep it clean, he's going to bring home the win here today.
You mentioned as long as he can keep it clean. The way this race has gone, that hasn't been the easiest thing for some of our guys that have been towards the front of the field. A lot of self-inflicted wounds here, so to speak. with a lot of the drivers that have put themselves in the wall or made unforced errors throughout this event, which I guess is something you may see in an all-star race when there's maybe not as much on the line as far as points go. But nonetheless, with the laps closing in, there's still opportunity for mistakes to happen.
Yeah, and that's one thing we've seen is those mistakes out there here for today. So coming up here in a few minutes, we'll have the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. So, of course, after the checkered flag falls, remember to stay with us here on GSRC as we'll have that for you. We'll talk to some of the guys and see how they felt about the multi-class aspect of today. As Connor Harrington is looking now, going through the bus stop chicane on the last trip around this racetrack. He's a little bit behind George Sandman, who we're riding on board with now. But Connor Harrington going around Brian Yazik to put him a lap down. That'll end Brian Yazik's race here in about 20 seconds. Going into the final chicane, coming out of it, Connor Harrington is going to win the Lionheart All-Star Race for 2020. Congratulations to Connor Harrington. Brian Yazik will come home behind him, right behind him. That's going to be fourth position out there. Now looking at Ryan Otis, he's not too far behind. He's going to be making his trip here through the final chicane. Makes that right and that left and up to the start-finish line. Ryan Otis wins the Lotus 79 portion here today in a very smooth race for him. All right, I don't see any other positions out there that are under contention. A few guys out there still just trying to turn some, finish this race. So right on board here now with George Sandman. Him and that's Ryan Corns right behind him will be the last two, I believe, to finish the race. Another good, clean race from George Sandman. He's going to finish second in class in the Lotus 79s. And as he crosses the start-finish line, we'll be back here in a few minutes for that big Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. Run down that final order, talk to the winners. We'll see you right back here on GSRC in just a minute.
The SimPit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The SimPit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for the SimPit.
Welcome back to the Lionheart All-Star Race presented by Butt Kicker, and now the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. If you're struggling to find stuff for the person who has everything, do I have the website for you? Plasma-Tracks.com not only produces original racetrack wall art, motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsport fabrication are also available. Words cannot do justice to the uniqueness of their wares. The only way to fully appreciate their artwork is to see it for yourself, but be warned, one visit, next thing you'll know, you'll be trying to convince your spouse why you need a Plasma Track wall art hanging in your home. See it all, plasma-tracks.com. And I think this is still valid. Use the promo code LRS 2019 to get 25% off your order. All right, let's go ahead and run down the finishing order out there here for today, and we'll go 10 at a time here between me and Chris, and taking the overall race win. It's going to be Connor Harrington winning the IndyCar portion of it. Andrew Kinsella about 26 seconds behind him. Michael Goodman coming home in third. Brian Yonzik in fourth. Scotty Johnson in fifth, winning the Lotus 79 portion. Well, that's going to be Ryan Otis. Brian Carey in seventh overall, eighth and second in the Lotus 79s. It's going to be George Samian, Scott Holmes, and Ryan Corns taking up 9th and 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 is George Anzaldo with David Clymer closing out 12th spot. Not lucky number 13 tonight is Arun Kankapati. Unfortunate incident for him. Forced him out of the car. Alex Saunders next up in line after a solid run, and Sage Karam 15th overall. Travis Yeager-Liner next in line in 16th, followed by Finian DeCuna in 17th. 18th was Jason Galvin, followed by Mike Rigney in 19th, and Tyler Graff completing the top 20.
All right, and the rest of these guys having some major issues. Tyler Graff, Mark Cohn, Lionel Callisto, Samuel Ryman, Brian Beard, Dustin Wardlow, Dean Mole, Paul Jenkins, Stephen Larkamp, all having issues right there at the start of the race. All right, first up, let's go ahead and bring in the overall winner here tonight in the IndyCar is Connor Harrington. Connor Harrington with a very strong performance, not necessarily leading this thing flag to flag. He had some early challenges. Connor, tell us about fighting out there with Aruna and Sage Karam early on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Adam. It was a mega battle out there. Sage definitely, I think, had the pace. I think I just got really lucky to find a clean bit of track in qualifying and really pump in a good lap, which it helps when you're on the pole. But Sage was equal, if not better than me on pace, and it got really hairy out there when we were lapping the slower class. And we were three or four wide there with only with us and two other Lotus 79s. It was a wild race.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it looked like things got hairy. But once that battle cooled off, the Sage and Aruna both had their problems. After that, I mean, it was pretty much smooth sailing. It looked like for you.
Yeah, for the most part. The only thing I was concerned about was Andrew. Pace, because I think he was going to try to do the fuel saving, so I wanted to make sure that I kept pushing and had enough gap to make that third pit stop. So thankfully that was achieved, and other than that, lap traffic was cooperative, and we're really excited to get a win for our sponsors: Cranfield Simulation, Alcantech Sim, and Nyman Racing. So we're really excited to start the season off on a really strong note.
All right. Well, hey, Connor. I'm getting Chris Phobie here in my mind already, trying to pass it up. But Connor,
shake that rust off.
I know, right? That's exactly what it is. I really got to shake the rust off. The Lotus 79's just coming up here in a few weeks. But Connor, anybody you'd like to thank here real quick before we send you out?
I'd just like to thank my team, NHR Esports, the support of our owners, and my teammate Stephen Larkamp. We're really excited to get out there this year. We're pretty hopeful of the chances we have this year at Lionheart. So other than that, just everybody at Lionheart and everybody at GSRC, and we're ready for the 2020 season.
All right. Hey, well, we're definitely ready to watch it. Connor, have a good night, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Crack on, guys.
All right, so that was the IndyCar winner, Connor Harrington, and Chris Phobie is going to catch up with the Lotus 79 winner and Lotus 79 extraordinaire, Ryan Otis.
Well, Ryan, tremendous run you had tonight. Looks like you didn't turn a wheel wrong the entire time. How'd that race go for you?
Oh, the race was fun. I had a few. That first lap was a little bit hairy because I think the back of the IndyCar field had some issues there in sort of the turn one complex. So I think that took out a few guys. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty smooth sailing. Just trying to put in clean, fast laps, and it's kind of a different experience to be out there, leading the race and putting in flyers, and then having to constantly watch your mirrors because you'd have an Indy car come flying up on you. So I was trying to be cooperative in traffic there and didn't want to hold those guys up. But yeah, that was great fun.
That was one thing I did want to touch on with you was what are some of the more unique aspects you didn't expect going into this one, being the fastest of the slower class out there?
Yeah. I mean, the traffic. I guess I was the traffic, right? So having those Indy cars come flying up on you, and it's for me it was tough because I'm trying to put in fast laps, and at the time when they first started catching me, Alex was still pretty close behind me. So I was trying not to give up time, but you don't want to hold those guys up, and it sounded like they had quite the epic battle there early on in the race. So I didn't want to didn't want to mess up anybody's race. But yeah, still just trying to go fast and trying not to get in their way. So it was fun.
Now we're still a couple months away from the season starting in earnest for the Lionheart series. What are your plans looking like for this first portion of 2020?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be coming back in the Lotus 79 again. Yeah, doing the same thing there. I think I've heard we got a lot of new guys coming into the 79 series, so I think that'll be fun. When you get some fresh blood, and you always be surprised by somebody. Some of these guys are just smoking fast. I will got to give a shout out to Sage, because I know Sage was planning to do the 79 in this race because he was eligible to do both. But I guess when he joined the session, he selected the wrong car, so he ended up in the Dallara. But I was looking forward to another great battle with Sage because we had a good one last year. So anyway, that was kind of a disappointment because I was really looking forward to racing with him. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this year. Be doing the same thing. And I think the schedule's looking pretty good. I might end up missing one or two, but no, I think it'll be a good season.
All right. Well, thanks for speaking with us, Ryan. Once again, congratulations on your event. That is Ryan Otis, winner of the Lotus 79 portion of the All-Star race for the Lionheart Series.
All right. So now we'll bring in Andrew Kinsella here real quick. He came home second overall, second in the Indy cars. Andrew, you had yourself a really good battle there with Brian Yazik through the middle portion of the race, and then Yazik had a little bit of a problem, and you were able to step away from him after having your own little bit of a spin.
Yeah, I think I had about 4 spins in that one. The setup was really, really tricky with the IndyCar. I can say that because I made it. But no, we went with a really low downforce.
And of course, with that low downforce, I mean, I saw a few times. There was one time where you probably had one of the more incredible saves I've ever seen out of an IR-18. So, good job there. But
yeah,
we're of course this is a precursor here to what we're going to see here for 2020. Are you anticipating good runs here for the season? I mean, everybody anticipates good runs going into the year, but do you think you can maybe pull off coming home, maybe top 3 in the championship this year?
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping to get back into the top 3. I mean, I just lost out on it, and at the last race at Auto Club there, I was in the top 3 the whole season basically. So that's definitely the goal, is getting back in the top 3, and had my fuel save on tonight, so that was good practice for some of the road races this season, and I'm feeling pretty strong for the season.
All right. Well, hey, Andrew, appreciate you stopping in here real quick, and we'll see you at Homestead.
All right. See you then, Adam.
All right, so that was Andrew Kinsella, second overall. We're going to grab second in the Lotus 79s. And, of course, a guy that I've competed with against numerous times and had a great run here today, George Sandman. George, the race for you, It seemed like it had definitely had its ups and downs, but overall able to come home second in class.
Yeah, I'm real happy with the second place. From the start, all the way in the first turn, I tried to give Scott room on the inside, and I guess it wasn't enough, and he hit my left front, pushed me into the wall, so I hit the wall with my right front, and the wheel was cockeyed. So I was drove a race. I think I had like 40 seconds of optional damage when I pit, but I didn't do any repairs. So it took a while just to figure the car out, a few more laps just to kind of figure the car out to get it around the track smoothly, and then it seemed to feel a little bit better towards the end. But I was kind of doomed from the start, and real happy to take a second.
Well, and overall, a good second place finish, and that's going to set the stage, I think, for a good 2020 season for you. Now, I'm going to guess that you're running the Lotus 79 for the 2020 season. Is that the case here?
No, I'll run both of them, and I'll probably might even run the IR18 more than the L79, but we'll see how that goes. I'm actually going to take a break for a little while and rebuild my chassis, but I just had a MRI on my lower lumbar, and I've got two possible fractures and stress fractures in L4 and L5, so I've got to take a little break and do a little healing and have fun.
I'm right there with you. I got an MRI on my shoulder on Monday, and I have no idea what they're going to find. So I'll be praying for you there, buddy, and speedy return, and hopefully we see you back on track here real soon.
Oh, thank you much. Thanks for the great broadcast, guys, and congrats, Ryan, for the win, and thanks for everybody for putting.
That was George Sandman, wishing him again a speedy recovery as he's going to take a little bit of a time off, and hopefully we get to see him time back for the Lotus 79 and in the IR18 seasons in Lionheart. And speaking of Lionheart, the Lionheart man himself, the guy that puts most of the stuff together behind the scenes. Hey, George, just one question about tonight's race, and then I just want to get a quick preview from you for the upcoming season. But for tonight, I mean, you definitely had a few scary moments out there.
Oh yeah, that was a wild one for sure. I mean, I came in and just tried to hang there as best I could, and then found myself sneaking by that mess there in the opening lap, and basically just I had a good battle with Finney, and yeah, like I say, I just tried to keep it on track. I had a little unfortunate incident kind of got in the way there with Kinsella. I mean, those Indy cars were really coming up so much quicker. Than you'd expect in certain corners. But yeah, I was happy. It was kind of cool to get a fifth place on a road course for me. I mean, I know there was some attrition there, but I'll take it. It was fun for this type of exhibition. It was fun to just go out there and sling the car around. The Lotus is an amazing platform. It's definitely one of my favorites, and there's such a pureness to that car, the raw power. I love it. It's a fantastic car to drive here on iRacing.
All right, of course, I definitely wanted to bring you in to also talk about the upcoming season, just really quickly. For guys out there that are watching the broadcast, maybe big Lionheart fans, what kind of changes can they expect against now? Not only going from 2 main series to 3 main series, and in the individual series, and what kind of changes are we looking at for Lionheart in 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll still be running our amazing IndyCar series as well as our retro series. We added a third series. It's called our IndyCar Challenge series, and basically that'll be a third series which will be non-broadcast, but it'll be a great means to allow drivers who are interested in being a part of Lionheart and joining this great community of drivers to come on in and experience basically. What Lionheart has to offer, our rules package, our just basically how we run the league, and do it in a really great setting and environment with some great setups and great competition. So, and this new third series again will be a great just a great means for us to be able to evaluate these new drivers coming in, and there may be some spots opening up as the season progresses, but yeah, the roster is going to be bumped down a little bit to about 35 drivers. We're looking to put our absolute fastest guys out there so we can have a great product. And we're really looking forward to the 2020 season. We're really happy to announce First Medical's decided to come back on as title sponsor to the Lionheart series, as well as the DMLC taking over for Retro Series. And we have some other really big, exciting news that
is going to be coming soon. We're in the works of something really big, so I can't wait to share that with all of you. But we're also happy to have Sim Experience back, as well as Butt Kicker and Minus 273. Those guys have been fantastic with us. Great sponsors, and we're so excited to have them all back. And we're still working on a few others, and it'll be great. We'll have some press releases here in the upcoming weeks, but we've definitely been working really hard here in the off season, and the season is right around the corner. March 11th for the IndyCar opener at Homestead, as well as March 19th for the Lotus. So again, we're very excited, and we can't wait to share all this new news with everyone very soon. So stay tuned, and again, anyone interested in becoming a part of Lionheart, just check us out at LionheartRacingSeries.com. Fill out an application, and maybe we'll see a few new guys on track this year. So thanks again.
All right, George, thanks for stopping by here tonight, and we look forward to seeing what Lionheart has in store for 2020. And that is going to wrap up the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. Got a few folks to thank, including First Medical Equipment. They've been the source for medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service. Sim Experience, we talked about earlier, the team behind the ActiveForce Pro V2 Direct Drive System wheel. Check them out at www.simexperience.com. Remember to use promo code SimXLine to get 5% off the Sim5 software. Can't forget about Butt Kicker products. They're at Instant Immersion Any Game. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use the promo code LINE25 to get 25% off your order. Contact any of the sponsors you see on your screen right now, and be sure to thank them for assisting with the Lionheart Racing Series here in 2019 and for this first race in 2020. The original music on every GSRC broadcast comes courtesy of June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact her. On the screen now are just some of the companies, equipment, and software that made this broadcast possible. Lionheart IndyCar Series and Lionheart Retro Series will return coming up in March. GSRC and IESN will be there to bring you all the action, and we hope you join us. You're up on your screen now some of the other upcoming broadcasts here on GSRC. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of all future broadcasts, you can find it all at simracingchannel.com. We're also on Facebook at /Global SimRacing Channel, Twitter at GSR Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Finally, on behalf of myself, Chris Foby, you got Deshaun Ambrose in the booth, turning all the knobs and everything else for us here tonight. Dougie Beard making all the cameras just work wonderfully. Thanks for joining us here for the Lionheart All-Star Race for 2020. We hope to see you at Homestead. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard. See you.